share today because the last few videos I've done have been kind of business oriented. We were talking about Roth IRAs, and we were talking about 401ks and should I borrow from my 401k, a lot of different financially related things. So I wanted to take this opportunity to do a self-care check-in. So it was a little bit of a gloomy day today, but the weather's warming up, thank goodness. I got my cozy sweater on, I got my cup of tea. These are little things that I do for myself when I have those moments to be quiet for a few minutes. And it dawned on me that over the course of the last year, we've heard in the news over and over again, and a lot of us have felt it, that women have definitely taken the brunt of the changes and the stress and the additional roles and responsibilities as we adjusted to pandemic life. So 2020 wasn't the best year for trying to implement a self-care plan, right? And as we think about those experiences and the goals that we had for 2020 and how many of them may have had to go by the wayside, I want to make sure everybody, now that we're through the New Year's hump and all the resolutions have worn off, I want to make sure everybody's taking a moment to think about what changes they can actually make to accomplish that one step closer to starting to feel like yourself again. So I want to start by asking this question. How are you really feeling? I get asked a lot because it's common courtesy, or it's a common phrase when you start a phone call or start a meeting or you see a family member. Oh, hey, how are you doing? It's a pretty common question that we ask each other, right? And we generally give stock answers. I'm good. I'm doing fine. Sometimes you get the, I'm hanging in there, or, oh, I'm so busy. Sometimes people are more honest and they share with you that they're stressed out or they are having a very frustrating day. So I want you to check in with yourself. If there's one easy step that I hope you can implement is when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night, take a second to ask yourself, how are you really feeling? Pick one word. And as a matter of fact, I'll share this on my Facebook page as I'm thinking about it now while I'm speaking. We often default to using the same words over and over again to describe ourselves. We are bored, we're tired, we're angry, we're happy, we're excited. But there is so much more vocabulary for us to tap into. So one of the things I'll put up on my Facebook page, and I'll attach it somehow to this post, is a feelings wheel. It's a nice colorful chart, and it starts in the very center with some basic pieces of vocabulary that we've used over and over again to describe our emotions, but it branches out. It's almost like a little graphic thesaurus, and it gives you different ways to describe what you're feeling. Because as you check in with yourself, I want you to look at that feelings wheel and pick something that really describes how you felt that day. And I want you to finalize that reflection by telling yourself, tomorrow will be different. You can either intentionally make it different if you want to make it a better day. Tomorrow may be about the same, but you can find a different word to describe it and just continue to expand that emotional vocabulary. So that's my first piece of advice today, is to check in with yourself. How are you really feeling? And start to expand that emotional vocabulary. So the next question is, what are your roadblocks? What's going to be the thing that gets in the way of you implementing that one small daily check-in or a weekly check-in? Sometimes implementing something daily is too much to take on. How about a weekly check-in every Saturday morning? How am I feeling this week? What are your roadblocks? Well, some of the common things we turn to, right? We don't have time. There is so much on our plates already that we always end up at the bottom of the list. We as individuals end up at the bottom of the list for those check-ins. We don't have the energy. And I'll tell you, I can relate to not having the energy because there's always something to be done. And I know I had this moment recently where I finally felt like I had done my work for the day and was ready to sit down on the couch for a little while to relax before having to get the kids ready for bed. And I walked into the living room and there were shoes everywhere and the couch cushions had been taken off because someone decided to make a pillow fort and the blankets were unfolded, and I can't sit in that kind of chaos and actually relax. So energy was definitely depleted that day. Anyone else have trouble focusing when they're tired or lacking energy? That's something that I definitely struggle with. There are times where I know I have space and time to sit and relax, but there's always something else going on and my mind is always wandering somewhere else. How do we combat that? So again, small meaningful changes like checking in on how we're really feeling, and then making a plan around that. One small change to make myself feel better. If I know that I get up in the morning at a certain time every day, maybe I can implement one small thing to help me start my day on a better foot. One of my favorite things to do in the morning as I get my day started, and I've shared this in one of my blog posts, is I love to drop essential oils in my shower. Any fragrance. Sometimes I surprise myself and I just close my eyes and grab a bottle out of my little basket, because it's just something that I do to bring intentionality to the start of my day. It reminds me to breathe, because then I can have some nice deep inhales and exhales, and it just sets my day up on a good path. So that's a small thing that I can do that doesn't take any extra time and doesn't take any extra energy, and it helps me get focused. So that's just another little thing that I like to try. I hope it helps you too. So the last question that I want to leave you with, the last piece of advice, I guess I could say, is how's this year going to be different? So on my website, menextyear.com, is a free download that I want you folks to go get. Okay, menextyear.com. Sign up for my email list, because every month, only once a month, I promise I don't spam anybody, I will send out my monthly blog with whatever topic happens to have come up that month. But you'll also get a free download, which is your self-care worksheet. It's a plan. It has 3 pages. So it may take you a few minutes to get through, but honestly, probably no more than 10. It's not a daunting task. It's going to walk you through, what are some of the areas that you might be lacking? What are some of the areas that you're doing really well in? It gives you an opportunity to identify both. And it walks you through how to create a plan around that. What things can I do to improve these areas? And on the last page, there's even an option to determine who's going to hold me accountable. Because you know what? We always do better when we've got somebody to support us. It could be a professional, it could be a coach, it could be a financial planner, because hey, who would have thought somebody like a financial planner would be here talking about self-care? It could be a counselor, it could be a family member, a spouse, a best friend. If you have adult children, they can hold you accountable. Anybody that you can turn to be honest and supportive can help you implement this self-care plan. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. So a quick recap is check in with yourself. How are you really feeling? And I'll upload my feelings wheel so you guys can expand your emotional vocabulary. What are your roadblocks? Are you struggling with time? Are you struggling with energy? Maybe finding a simple thing you can incorporate at the beginning of your day into an activity that you already do, like dropping essential oils in your shower, can help refocus you and get you ready for the day. And then finally, visit menextyear.com. Check out my blogs, but definitely right on the homepage, click on the button that says instant download. Get that self-care worksheet. Make this year better than last year, which shouldn't be too hard. But be specific. Make it better for your self-care than it was last year, because we all need it. Men, women, grown-ups, children, doesn't matter. We all need to focus on our self-care. So hopefully this was helpful. I always enjoy doing these with you folks. And if you have any ideas for future videos, happy to take them, happy to help out any way I can.